Right everyone, well, something a bit different today. A bit about me and some of my choices of why I use Linux and what I use. So what do I do for a living? Well, I am a network security analyst. I sit there and watch packets. Not quite watching packets though. We work with intrusion detection systems. They do a lot of the monitoring on the network for us. And then they flag up when something bad is happening and I take a look at the packets, mainly using the likes of Wireshark. So we're looking at hackers trying to get in the system, but also what people on the inside of the network are doing. Whether they're getting up to no good for malicious reasons or getting up to no good because they're stupid and gone onto the wrong sort of website. Yeah. You'd be surprised with what I've seen at work. I don't want to necessarily mention it because some people have actually gotten up to some real illegal activities and I have caught them and I'm disturbed with what I've seen. Yeah. But generally my job is amusing. There's always a different variety of things happening. No 2 days are the same. But it can be a difficult job sometimes. As an analyst, I have to win all the time. As a hacker, they could try 100, 1,000 times. If they succeed once, that's it, they've won. I have to succeed every time to try and stop the hackers and the idiots inside the network. It's quite a bit of responsibility when I think about it. I try not to think about that side of things at work, just try and get on and do my job. So I've been using Linux since about 2009. I started with Ubuntu 9.10, Karmic Koala. And the reasons I got into it was that I had this old laptop. I used Windows XP on it and this old IBM ThinkPad. It had 256 meg of RAM, a 40 gig hard drive, and it was just slow as anything with XP. It took like 30 minutes to boot up, and that was with like a fresh install. Push it up to XP Service Pack 3, put an AV on it, you've had it. It was that slow. So I was going to throw it in the bin. One of my workmates, this was an old job some time back when I was a project manager, he said, "Why don't you try Ubuntu?" I was like, "What? Ubuntu? Linux? Oh, I've heard of Linux. That was some time ago when I tried that before. It was something like Red Hat, but never actually really used it." Anyway, I thought, what have I got to lose? So I chucked Ubuntu 9.10 on it. It was the day it was released as well, so that was good fun. Yeah, it worked. And not only that, it booted up in less than a minute. So I've gone from Windows, which took half an hour to boot up, to Ubuntu that booted up in a minute. Wow, that's a bit of time saving there. Sweet. It was interesting, got on with it. And then I discovered Compiz. Wow, you could do this with it? I'm amazed. And then a couple of months or so later, I decided, desktop I have, let's put Ubuntu on that. And I did. So the distro I use is Ubuntu 14.04. For a long time you've known that I've used Ubuntu. Why did I move away though? Ubuntu lost their way. They lost features. I think Ubuntu 13.04 was the last good version of Ubuntu. And it kind of went downhill. 13.10 was a pretty horrible release. 12.10 was a god awful release. It was terrible. Just didn't work properly. 14.04 came around and yeah, they'd sort of fixed a lot of things, but they'd only sort of taken it back to what Ubuntu 12.04 was like. It's like, what's the point? Things still don't work properly. Oh look, there's Ubuntu, that's good. But it was actually Solid K that pulled me away from Ubuntu. I'll always remember that distro. I would have liked to continue using it. It was only because of the repositories that within Launchpad that it's actually a lot easier to add them within Ubuntu and the Ubuntu releases. It's a bit complicated to do it with a Debian base. It just required more work basically. That's the difficulty with it. Because when I use my computer, I want to get on and do something. I don't want to have to tinker around with things and try and fix something because an update broke it. That's probably the reason I've actually kept with Ubuntu and why I've never gone over to the likes of Arch and Gentoo. You know, respect to those distros and the people who use them, but it's just not for me. I'm sorry. I'm happy with Ubuntu, I'm happy using my computer for the purpose I use it for. To do whatever, I don't know. But like the Unity desktop, that is one thing I did take away from Ubuntu. Now a lot of people hated it. I like Unity. I like working around those icons, are so simple. I don't need words. And I don't have to navigate through menus. The Unity searcher is so quick. That's the sort of things I liked about it. The other computers I have, my home theatre PC, that's using Ubuntu server. Yeah, that sounds odd. It's Ubuntu server with Kodi, used to be XBMC. I've got NAS, that's running Ubuntu server. I've got some old netbook somewhere that's still running Ubuntu 12.04. I generally don't use it these days, so I'll just keep it around. I think that's most of my systems. I'm working on one at the moment which will be a retro gaming machine, and that's going to use probably Ubuntu, I'm thinking. Ubuntu, and I'll boot straight into Emulation Station. And I've got it working with like sort of RetroArch and a couple other gaming emulators. PC2SX, I think, for the PlayStation 2 emulator. At some point I'm going to get that up and running. I've only worked on a test build at the moment. Yeah, I'll do it probably, hopefully before Christmas. I've had a long time with computers. Before I got into using Ubuntu, I was using Windows XP. I completely missed Windows Vista. And I never really got into using much with Windows 7. I use it more at work now than I've done on my own machine. Before that, it was Windows ME, 2000, 98, 95, 3.1, right back through DOS. I started back with IBM DOS, probably about version 2 or something, I think it was. So I'm kind of used to the command line. The command line never bothered me too much, because when I started using computers, if you wanted to do something, you had to damn well type it. All you had was that little C:/ in the corner, and you had to type everything that you wanted it to do. So, yeah, no difficulty there. I suppose I kind of got lazy when it got the likes of with IBM DOS shell and then with Windows. GUIs are so convenient. Anyway, I shall see you all later.